Right. I had a dream that I have to record. I haven't even lit my incense, burnt oils, nothing. I've I went to the wharepaku. I made myself a coffee. I'm sitting here. I haven't eaten. I haven't done nothing because I'm trying to make sense of what the hell I just dreamt. Just give me a second. I need a sip. I had a dream that I was in town with my sister. I had briefly woken up to a message from my sister on WhatsApp, and she was talking about how it's my nephew River's first day at kindy, my great nephew. My sister Laurie that died, her girl Emma had a wee boy a couple of years ago called River, and it's his first day at kindy. And I had a dream that we were in town, and it was a bit like Wakefield, but it was also more like Fort William up in Scotland. And I was saying to Erin, "Where's River?" And she said, "Oh, he's just over there." And so I saw him in amongst all the crowd of people, and I went to get him. And when I turned around, my sister was gone because she'd gone into Decca, which back in the day was Woolworths. It was Woolworths, like a Walmart sort of thing, but then they renamed it Decca. I don't even think they have Decca anymore. But in New Zealand, our Woolworths home stores used to be called Decca. We have Woolworths supermarket, and then we had Decca, that like the home store. So, kind of like how you've got Asda and Asda George stores, home stores. And I couldn't find her. I wasn't bothered, other than I didn't have a phone with me, so I couldn't ring you to say, "Where are you?" So I had River, and I was trying to get to my sister because she was buying bedding. And then eventually I found her, and I handed River back to her, and then had to get in the car. I said, "I've got to go now, it's time to go." So I gave her a kiss, and I squished River's face off and jumped in this car. And my nephew Kieran was in the back. That's Amber's brother. And he wasn't saying anything. I've had a couple of dreams about Kieran recently, so obviously he's understandably feeling the loss of his big sister because they were exceptionally close. So he must be just picking up on him because he's mourning, because he doesn't talk in the dreams. I'm either just sitting next to him holding his hand or putting my arm around him. But he was in the back seat of this car, and my mum was driving. And I said to her, "Where are we going?" And she said, "You're going home." And I said, up into the mountains?" And she goes, "Just trust me." And I was like, "But I thought I was living in Switzerland." And she goes, "Switzerland was the start point." And I was like, "What does that mean?" And I was all confused because I was thinking, why is my mum taking me up into the mountains? And while I was making my coffee, I was thinking, is it because when I went to sleep, one of the last things that I posted was to do with my suspense thriller Mountain High, which will film up in the mountains of Switzerland. It was where she was driving me was around the areas where I was just posting that I was putting pins in to mark for potential filming locations for Mountain High, which I'm telling you, when you watch it, the ending is going to blow you. You're not going to see the ending coming a million miles away. And she kind of goes, "Oh." She pulled over the car. She got out. My mum couldn't drive in real life, by the way. Neither can I. and Jesus got in. I swear to God, Jesus took the wheel. And I said to him, oh God. And he goes, I know, right? And I said to him, brother, where are you taking me? He said, I'm taking you to a higher love. He turned on the car radio and he started singing. I know Jackie Wilson did the original, but I grew up with the Rita Coolidge version, Your Love is Lifting Me Higher. And he was singing away, and I was saying to him, are you going to tell me where I'm going? He goes, no. And I said, where are you taking me? He said, I'm taking you to a higher love. And I said, I thought I was living in Switzerland. He said, your school's going to be in Switzerland. He said, but you're going to have two places. You've got two homes. Because your love is going to be in one of them. And you'll need to travel. He said, but it's not far. He said, I'm showing you. And I said, and I have to go through the mountains? And he goes, yeah. And I said, and isn't this a bit like Mountain High? And he goes, yeah. And I said, it's not going to have the same ending as Mountain High, I hope. And he started laughing. He goes, no. He goes, just stop asking questions and have faith. I said, well, who is he? And he goes, you'll find out. And I said, what did I say? Is he Italian? And he goes, stop asking questions or you'll ruin the surprise. And I said, but I thought he was waiting for me under the oak tree. And he goes, he is. And I said, I'm confused. And he goes, sister. He goes, little sister. He was so cocky, and he was like, I know something you don't know, kind of attitude, very cocky. And he goes, sister, little sister, even you should know. And you've told your sons many times, when you have dreams of being outside in nature, they mean you're standing with Father. So, going across the meadow with the poppies and the... I said to him, did I get the codes wrong? He said, no. He said, they're the start point. And I said to him, well, who is he? And he goes, it doesn't matter right now, but he knows who you are. And he's just getting ready to make his approach. And I said to him, but I can't live away from the school. And he goes, do you trust me or not? And I said, of course I do. And he goes, well, then shut up. He goes, you ask too many questions. I said, well, you're the one that gave me the analytical mind. I said, that's all on you. And he goes, remember Mother? And I said, of course. And he goes, remember the dream about Mother? And I'm thinking, while I'm making my coffee, I'm thinking, what's he talking about, dream about Mother? And then I remembered that dream that I had about how the Blessed Virgin Mary called me across the road from that hotel to bless this church that had paranormal activity in it. And I met a man there who was tending to the church. And I thought he was a padre. I thought he was like a priest or something, but he wasn't. He said that he just goes there to help out in the gardens or something. So I'm so confused. But Jesus said, don't ask questions. He's taking me to a higher love. He said that this man has a love of music and he's going to teach me things. He's a very musical man and he's going to teach me things that are going to enhance everything it is that I'm creating. And I swear to you, where he was taking me, well, not that I know, but in the dream, I remember thinking, is he taking me to Italy? And then I woke up. And I've been joking and saying, as the man I end up with Italian. Or he has some connection to Italy where so I think Dream Jesus was saying that my home, as in, that's why my mum and my sister and my nephews and that were in the dream, that my home isn't where I think it's going to be. That I'm going to have a school in one place and I'll live somewhere different, or I'll divide my time between the two places. And he's potentially Italian. The other thing he said was, I forgot. Well, no, I did say it. So he knows who I am, but he's getting ready to make his approach. I don't know if he is Italian. I just know that there's an Italian connection, possibly because it's the first thing I thought, just as, when I woke up, was, am I going to Italy? See, the thing is, I would never live in Italy. I would love to live in Italy. I even wanted to build a school in Italy, but I will not live in any country that is controlled by the EU. I won't live in any country that von der Leyen has a finger in the pie of. I can't. I have to think of the children. I won't live anywhere that is EU compliant. But I think he might be there. I think he might be there. Or he's from there, or works there, or has worked there. But I think he works in the music industry. Imagine if he was like an opera singer or something. Because the Italians love opera. Maybe he's like a music director. I don't know. Look, see, because I'm going to start thinking now, because he's piqued my curiosity. But where the school is, and where it is that I go to visit him, or where he is, it's like a drive over the mountains. It's like just a quick drive. Jesus was showing me, look, he's just right here. Because I'm one of these people, see, when I fall in love, I hate separation. I don't like being separated from my men. I like to be right where they are. I like to be right. I don't like being separated from them. But Jesus was like, just trust us. Is he going to eventually move to where I'm so confused. So Switzerland was the start point for me finding, because remember Amber said I'd meet him once I got there. Not that I'd meet him in Switzerland, but I'd meet him once I got to Switzerland. And him taking me to a higher love means that he must be quite a righteous man. If he's religical, I don't know how that's going to work, because everybody knows God does not like the Pope at all. I don't know what, I'm saying I don't know how that's going to work with the clash of faiths and that. However, God seems to imply that that's not going to be an issue. He might be like me, he has a faith in God. I know that there's been like over 40,000 Italians and South Americans who have turned their back on Catholicism. They've lost faith in, maybe he's one of them, but he's like me. Like, he doesn't believe in religion, but he still loves Jesus and Mary and that. I don't know. I'm so bloody confused. And he was singing, your love is lifting me higher. So he's taking me to a higher love. So whoever this man is, He's like moral and ethical, and he has honour, and he has a faith that is strong enough that he wouldn't do wrong by me, and he knows who I am, and he's getting ready to make his approach. And he's got some connection to Italy. I'm sure of it. He might not be Italian, but he's got a strong connection to Italy. And when I go to visit him, or because Jesus was trying to show me that where he is, in comparison to where the school's going to be, is just like a quick drive. Just over the mountain. Somewhere over the mountain. I couldn't believe it. I was like, oh my, he's like, I know, right? The thing is, I've been asleep for about 12 hours. I was getting up to go to the wharepaku, check my phone, passing immediately straight back out. I've been asleep for so long. Now I'm thinking it's because I needed it for the build-up of Jesus appearing in my dream. He just had like a white, well, how you expect him to look, like one of those white dress things on. I can even remember, like, it was like raw cotton, like the fibres of his shawl thing were, dress thing were. It was like made from like raw material, like you could see, yeah, just looking at him, looking at the back of his head, and with it like dark skin, with his dark beard and his dark brown hair. And he was just glowing. He was glowing so much that he was like, all I could see in front of the windshield where he was glowing was like the blue sky without a cloud, and mountains with snow on top, and the greenest green you've ever seen. And he was taking me up. We were going up the mountain, like the road he was driving on, it was going up. And yeah, where you have to go down, change gears lower in order to get up them real slow. We were going up. The road was actually like tilted up. And he was taking me up to the top of the mountain to go over the mountain to take me to my higher love. And I'm so confused, but I'm not allowed to ask questions, and that's going to drive me insane. Because so I've left. If you look at that song, because I looked at the lyrics, I've been pulled up and away from narcissistic abuse. I've been pulled up and away, like I've learned my lessons in love. I've learned my lessons, and he's going to be my reward. I know the red flags. I know the signs now of narcissistic abuse. I know my worth. I know I deserve more. And because I've learned my lesson, my reward is going to be whoever this man is. And whoever he is, he watches me. And he's got a connection to Italy. He might not be Italian, he might not live in Italy, but I'm telling you now, he has a really strong connection to Italy. And it might just be that Jesus taking the wheel and taking me over the Alps to get into Italy is just showing me that the clue is this man has a connection to Italy, and he's a good man. Like he wouldn't dream of treating me like that. He knows who I am. He knows my value. And he said, remember the dream about mother. And I had that dream about Mary, and in that dream, I remember saying he was the most beautiful man I'd ever seen in my life. And in that dream, he knew who I was. I didn't know who he was, but he knew who I was. I thought he was a priest, which reminds me of Unorthodox, because he's a priest in Unorthodox. The character that Ben goes to, the character that that the Quantum Menace meets up with to help in Quantum Menace 1, which then breaks off into Unorthodox, which is about the priest. I was going to make him a cop, but then I decided to make him a priest. Yeah, I thought he was a priest in this dream. I'll put a link. I can even do screenshots. And I mean, Italy's pretty much the most religious Catholic. It is, I mean, it's the most religious country, for non-Muslims, and it's like the Mecca for Catholics. And my mum was Catholic, and oh my God, and my mum was the one. She was the one that when I was 16, I said to her, I don't want to be Catholic anymore. I want to find out if God is really real. I need to know if God really exists. I need to know if any of this is real. But at this point, I don't believe in God, and I don't want to be Catholic, and I need to find out. She said to me, "You'll be back," meaning you'll be back to God. You'll come back to God. You'll find Him, and you'll come back to Him. And she was the one who was originally driving the car. This would be her way of saying, "See, I told you." So now I'm curious. So whoever I end up with has a really strong connection to Italy somehow. And I'm going to divide my time between where he is and the school. And he's got strong, when it comes to love and fidelity and honour and all of that, he's got really strong morals and ethics. He wouldn't dream of treating me the way I've been treated in the past. That's kind of what Jesus was implying. So now I'm wondering, with that dream with the wolf, with Luca, taking me down the back alleyways to get to the meadow where I met the man under the tree. The man under the tree and the meadow full of the poppies and the wildflowers and the birds singing and the sun shining on my back. Dad was the wolf, Mum was the sun, the birds was God. So it would be basically me being put in a God bubble, me being put inside a God particle. To be carried to the man in my dreams is what it is. And the other day I was talking about seeing inside quantum magnetics. Like it's like my brain goes right into the core of the atom where the quarks and gluons and all of that are, where I get to ride the slipstream of time as it's been woven into the fabric of time. And I get to see things. And I think maybe that's Luca is symbolic of my parents, my mum and dad, because if the sun was shining on my back in that dream, the sun is mother, and the wolf is Callahan, dad. And dad was taking me down the back alleyways, away from the men who caused all this trouble, which if you read the lyrics to Your Love Is Lifting Me Higher, disappointment was my closest friend. I was downhearted. Disappointment was my closest friend. Like disappointment and love kept meeting the wrong men. And so my mum and dad are saying, look, come this way. We're going to show you who he is. But you have to step inside Oh, Elon must be watching. Elon must be watching and he's not happy. Oh, Elon must be watching. Elon must be watching and he's not happy because my phone just cut off. Anyway, what was I saying? Yeah, so when you step inside the inside of the atom, like the core of the atom, you get to see time. You get to see time play out. They play out like little movies and TV shows. And I had that dream that I posted about Joe Biden where I said, I'm sure I'm looking inside quantum magnetics. I'm sure I'm looking right inside the core of quantum magnetics. And it is, it's looking inside the core of the atom. So effectively, that dream that I had with the wolf leading the way, is my mum and my dad putting me inside like the protective bubble of the conscious atom to say, we've picked someone for you. We've picked him and he's there waiting. You just have to get to the other side. And that's what Jesus was doing when he took over the wheel. He took me over the other side. He took me to the other side, which is essentially me walking across the meadow. Because, like I was saying before, I got so rudely cut off. Why someone would have a problem with me talking about my love life, I don't know, unless it's someone who's epically jealous or desperately trying not to allow me to get to where God needs me to go for these kids. Because only someone who wants to hurt children would have a problem with me putting these messages out. Nudge, nudge, wink, wink. Um, when you dream of anything to do with nature, obviously you have to look at the weather conditions, but in my dreams it's always, beautiful, clean forests, clear skies, fresh air, snow on the mountains, and snow in dreams means your spiritual connection to God, to your ancestors. Even in Lucian's dragon, the higher up he ascends, the closer he gets to his ancestors. Because when he goes from the air to ether stage in the book, that's when he starts meeting his ancestors. In the air stage is when he's been prepared to have interactions with his ancestors. And then the ether stage is all about him being with his ancestors. So, yeah, and he was taking me to a higher love. So I think I'm about to get news. See, my sister was buying bedding, and I had that dream yesterday about being on the bed of the army camp. And remember, I said I've got a feeling I'm about to get news. I'm getting out of here. I was on the bed, and beds in dreams, and bedding in dreams is how do I explain it? When you have dreams of being in bed, when you have dreams of anything to do with bedding, pillows, blankets, sheets, duvets, as Pearl would call them, it's to do with the preparation of connection to your higher self. Like you're being prepared, you're getting ready to connect with your higher self, because that's what happens when you go to sleep. When you go to sleep, your soul detaches from your body and goes off into the ethers to be with loved ones, to be in the creation frequency where you have your dreams, depending on, like in this dream I had, I kind of bounced from ether to creation because I started with my mum and my dad and, all of that. So I was with my ancestors in the beginning, my parents and that, but then I was taken to Jesus. So I rose. And in the dream, I rose from the ether frequency to the creation frequency where Jesus took over. And that's what beds and bedding and dreams mean. And in the dream, my sister was buying bedding. So my sister was preparing me for the dream that I was about to have, where I was going to see Mum, who was then going to take me to Jesus, who is taking me to a higher love up over the mountain. Now, he might not live in Italy, he might not be Italian, but he's a man of faith who has a connection to Italy. Italy's important to this person. There's a strong connection to Italy with this person. And he's gotten, whoever he is, he's gotten the approval of my parents. And they were pulling me away from the men of my past and keeping me safe and protected to take me to whoever's waiting. And he has a strong connection to music, according to Jesus. And he's a man of faith who would never dream in a million years. He's not a narcissist, basically. I have a habit of attracting narcissists because they're drawn to my light. They think they can control me. They think that once they have me, they can start bossing me around and telling me what to do. They try to hide my light under a bush. They don't want anyone else sharing my light. But according to Brother Jesus, this man is someone who's going to work with me in music. If it's opera, I'd be so happy because that's the one area of music that I have no interest in. I'm not being disrespectful or anything like that, but I wouldn't have the first clue. And we're gonna. I don't know. I don't care. If my mum and dad and Jesus has picked him, I'm not exactly going to say, "Ooh, no." I don't know. But now it's like curiouser and curiouser. But he's getting ready to make his approach, so that's interesting. Am I going to get I was going to say a phone call, but he wouldn't have my phone number. Am I going to get an email or a message or Either way, I'm being told to get ready. Between yesterday's dream and today's dream, I'm being told I'm about to get justice. I'm getting out of here. Me being on the bed with the treasure map. Yeah, I'm being told I'm getting out of here. I'm about to get justice. I'm getting out of here, and I'm going to Switzerland. I'm going to meet this higher love. I'll put a link in the description box to the song Higher Love, Your Love is Lifting Me Higher, and then just give me a couple of minutes to find that dream that I had about the Virgin Mary. I know I've got it in my emails as well, so I can just take a screenshot. But I know it's on my Instagram, my Fire Instagram. Because I found it the other day when I was washing the carpet, so to speak. So interesting. So yeah, so Jesus took the wheel. So it's like, yep, okay, whatever. So I'm going to go now and have my breakfast. My cornflakes have been soaking in the cream, and we'll see where this goes. I'll speak to you later. Ciao.